So today's episode of the Risking It All podcast, we had Michael and Kevin of Solar Specialist Scotland, long-term partners of ours at Jolly Media Marketing, two brilliant guys. They talk about business partnership, how they get into business in the first place, how they look after each other, how they've went and grown a solar business from a few installs in 1 year to 150 in the next. And yeah, fully transparent about the highs and lows of doing that. Great laugh as always with the guys, and we hope you enjoy the episode. So, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Risking It All podcast. I'm joined by my usual co-host, John Conway, and we are delighted to have a dynamic duo with us today.
Batman and Robin.
We'll not go on any more on that. But we're joined by Michael and Kevin, the co-owners and founders of Solar Specialist Scotland. Long-term partners of ours on the marketing front, and we very rarely get a chance to sit down with you and have a blether because they're probably all your Scotland doing surveys and all that fun stuff. So delighted to have you chaps, and
Delighted
thank you
to be here. Would you say?
Definitely good to be here.
Aye, looking forward to hearing a wee bit about how you two get into business.
About people's back doors with cameras.
This is a bit of change in scenery for a change.
Definitely.
So, I'm looking forward to getting into like how you started Solar Specialist Scotland and how it's going and where you're heading. But before we even touch on that subject, how did the two of you actually meet? How long ago did that happen? And have you known each other for a long time?
For 35 years.
About 35. Obviously, Michael's my older brother. And we live next door to each other. We actually live.
Right.
I'm a couple of years older than Michael, but we live next door to each other in an Underwood Lane in Paisley, of all places, sort of thing, the Bronx. So, but different schools, different kind of friend circles, and all that. But knew each other through the
Tell
whole
the
time.
truth, it's different religious backgrounds.
Got to the change. Very political of you there, right?
Michael went to Castles Day, I went to St Peter's Wednesday. But Michael used to coach my oldest boy Daniel in football as well, so there was always we always kind of knew, and we always would say hello, and always
Kept in touch a bit
and stuff like that, and then we kind of started working together a wee bit, didn't we? We started to get into a couple
It was another venture, really. It was another venture that kind of led us into sitting together and going, right, we kind of work well together.
Right.
What are we turning our attention to now? And Kevin's background was the renewable side. He was kind of solar side. I'd always had my own businesses and stuff. So we sat down and thought, right, okay, I know everybody in their dug. Kevin knows all the renewable stuff. This is a booming industry. Let's have a wee look now and see if there's something that we can start.
So that's how you get into that renewables. But 35 years is a long time, right?
Aye, I can't get rid of him, Barry.
You're still sitting next to each other, smiling and laughing, which is an accomplishment. So,
do you know, in the whole time, there's probably been twice we've had crosswords.
Aye.
do
Listen,
you know what I
honestly,
mean? Twice.
genuinely never.
Probably when I've got my knickers in a twist and, do you know what I mean, and decided that somebody was getting it that day. And it just happened to be Kevin's turn.
That sounds. No, never. We always seem to come back to an equilibrium together. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
There's no arguing or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Can be differences, but we always work it out. Do you know what I mean? But I think I speak to Michael more than my partner, my friends, everything. Do you know what I mean? My family. Do you know what I mean? So I think we went on holiday last month, November, October. No together. With our families, and it was that weird not talking to somebody 27 times a day. Do you know what I mean?
I was in America, so obviously the time differences, and I'm fucking waiting on Kevin getting up and stuff. How's it going? I'm getting things I need to ask you.
I know, just the dynamic works. The dynamic definitely works. Do you know what I mean?
well, that's from our end. I've always said that me and Brian always had a laugh, and John since he came in, that working with you guys, you could just tell that you have got that respect and you get on with each other.
Aye.
And everybody we've had, I've lost count of people that have came on this podcast and said partnership doesn't work.
Yeah. Right.
Aye, happens all the time, and it's funny because they don't say that to be controversial, because they're sitting next to me and John or me and Brian who's in partnership. They're just telling for their own experience. And I really want to get into how you guys manage a partnership. I know you love a laugh, right? And we always have a laugh with you, so that's important. But we'll get into a bit more than that later. But going back to 35 years ago, right? So there's a fair gap between then and Solar Specialist Scotland happening, right?
Aye.
and yous are both Paisley boys.
Yep.
Maybe different halves of the city, if you want to call it that. Right? We'll not get into that too much.
Aye, one Paisley boy for East End of Glasgow.
Man, I know what you mean there.
Aye, well, I'm a bad company, you know. I know what it is. Behind enemy lines.
But you mentioned something earlier, Michael, around like you decided to start a business together. Mm-hmm. But you'd done a few other things in business. You'd been in the renewable game. So I'll maybe start with yourself, Michael. Before getting in partnership with Kevin, what else had you been up to? What other businesses did you get into?
Thanks, Barry. Believe it or not, I was a young guy. I'll start closer to home now and then just kind of work back.
Right.
So recently, you'll laugh at this because this is all you hear at me now. I've been diagnosed with ADHD, right? And when this has opened up my eyes to how I've coped with things from when I left school to just now, right? So when I left school, I went to, first of all, left school, went to be a mechanic, right? I went to learn how to be a mechanic in college, and I couldn't handle it. I was more interested in birds and everything, right? So it just couldn't go. They ended up just getting rid of that altogether. And then got a bit of pressure off my mum and dad. You need to do something. So believe it or not, with my physique, I was a lifeguard, right? So my first proper job, I was a lifeguard, right?
That's got him by the way.
Yeah, lots of people when I'm getting my tap off behind. Big Mick Castlehoff, right? That was me. Big Mick Castlehoff. And I'll tell you a laugh about that, right? I was the only guy that ever done the lifeguard course that had to get rescued. so they used to have this doll that they threw in. I think they used to call it Annie or something. Right? I can't remember whatever this doll's name was, but it's a weighted doll. They throw it in, it sinks. You dive in, get her up, swim up to the side. So I've dove in. Could I get this doll off the bottom of the pool, right? But you don't realise how long you're doing there. I'm dead determined trying to get up. The next thing I've got a tug in the shoulder. Both the instructors got me out, right? So confidence was damaged a wee bit. Never went back. Told my mum and dad a load of shit. Aye, smashed it, no bother.
Did you not tell them you had to get rescued though?
No, Barry, I'm only using a lot of people know, and I'm only kidding on. It's a good pub story. So I thought, that was it. What am I going to do now? My mum and father are going to find out that I fucked this up and blah, blah, blah. Fast forward 2 weeks, a certificate comes through the door. Qualified lifeguard, and I'm like, fucking man, you know what I mean? You know? So started off, I think I'd done a couple of shifts at lifeguard, and I thought, no, this isn't, again, it wasn't for me. I got a bit of pressure on my mum and father. So I got started with Renfrewshire Council on, it was like a YTS kind of thing back then. I can't, skill seeker, I think the course was called. 55 quid a week to be stuck in the office, right? And it was them and £55 a week. I was making more money on the side, doing fucking stupid fucking deals, people cost aerials and this, that and the next thing, everything. I wasn't stealing cost aerials, I should clear that up. But just moving second hand stuff. And I thought to myself, this is where I'm kind of good. I don't need the structure, but I know how to open doors and move things around about a wee bit. Yeah. So from there I ended up, left the council. I went and get ice cream vans, believe it or not, and that was my kind of freedom in life, because I thought I can go wherever I want, do whatever I want with these vans and nobody will stop me. Obviously you learn pretty quick that you're a wee tiny fucking fish in a big massive pond with a lot bigger fish in the pond. So made a couple of connections through that, get myself into some schemes. Our Glasgow basically we done quite a lot, but predominantly I had ice cream vans in Ferguson and Paisley, and that lasted me for quite a wee while. And then when the world started to change a wee bit, and like supermarkets and everything, and your kind of big corner shops were starting to appear, and things, you thought, right, I need to start looking out with the box. I'd looked at a courier company, which has never been far away from my head. I might actually ever go back to that on a sideline. I'll need to talk to you about that. Because it's one of the constants in life that people need things delivered, right? Yeah. But again, life's changed, every shop's online, blah, blah, blah. We'll get back to that. There's ADHD kicking in. So I'd looked at that, and then I'd kind of started talking to Kevin a wee bit more, because we were involved with football teams together and blah, blah, blah. And, what are you doing now, Kevin? And he's like, oh, solar stuff, and we're doing well, and this, that, and the next thing. And you were working with people at the time, weren't you?
I worked for somebody at the time, aye.
And I'll no lie, I was a bit opportunistic, because I thought, well, I know I can open doors. I know I've got connections to get a business like that into places that it might want to be. So first and foremost, I'd looked at the marketing side of it for Eco4, because I'd spoke to a guy, again through the football team, who'd said to me, I'm involved in Equal 4 company, blah, 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 and started rhyming off kind of, this is what we would be looking for, this is what we were looking for, but no directly telling me, go and find this. But when I'm speaking to him, I'm thinking to myself, I know all these letting agents, and I know all these people, and I know these businesses, and I know this, and I know that, and it just kind of clicked with me, and I thought, that's something that I can make money off of here. So I'd looked at that, brought Kevin in, and we spoke about it, and thought, right, we could maybe do something with the marketing side of this. Well, Kevin's still done his renewable solar side as well, and we started filtering through leads, and we were making a bit of money off it, and then the penny just dropped one day, didn't it? And we thought, why are we, with Kevin's background, with my opportunities to open the doors, why are we lining everybody else's pockets? Right. Why are we not having a wee look at this stuff ourselves and kind of doing that? So hence Solar Specialist Scotland kind of
that was when it appeared then.
Kind of appeared.
That's interesting about because I've known you guys for a while, right? And I get why you'd say about the opening doors, because that is just that's your gig, and you've obviously done a few different things there, and ice cream vans, I would have never had you doing as one of them. There you go. That's a new thing I've learned for you today. But equally, when you actually break that down, dealing with customers, selling products. You know, in its most simplistic view.
The ice cream vans as well, when it was booming. At one time, I think I had 7.
So there you go.
So it was, and I had Mr. Whippy vans and all. I liked the camaraderie. You were the kind of man about town, do you know what I mean? It was kind of...
And that whole, because ice cream vans was a brilliant thing when I was growing up, but I don't even think I've got one on my street now.
Very far of you.
We still got one as well, but actually when I was I think it was 19, actually me and a mate bought an old ambulance, V12 ambulance. We'd done it up in the air.
Was it all Bedford?
Initially it was meant to be like a grocery van for the village that I stayed in. But last minute we said, nah, let's make it a snack bar. Right? Rock up anywhere. Wrong.
They what one?
And that ended up one of the one of the situations where I think you're kind of alluding to, you know, it's like bigger boys out there. And we walked up to this pitch that wasn't our pitch. We didn't know, you know.
Fun out pretty quick.
And we got shifted fairly quickly off that side. But the whole learning thing and that type of thing, buying and selling, you know, just kind of enlightens you that, you know, businesses can come, but it is leads, it is areas and all that kind of stuff. But that whole buying and selling and making a bit of a profit, you know, it can
that's
be done.
Fundamentals, that's
there wasn't any business plan to that. It kind of just kind of happened.
You're buying this for that and selling that for that. I always liked old Daniel said, was it the one with the sliding door at the back?
We made it,
A bit of nostalgia there.
I think your partnership's in danger here. I can see
Enjoying it away by a man.
If it all goes wrong, we'll do that again.
I can hear the chimes already.
The 2 years on them bother, man.
You know, you're talking about chimes. I had a van in Seatown and it was an old B-Reggie. I worked as a van boy at the time. It was an old B-Reggie Transit, and I always remember the chime was Strangers in the Night. You remember that? It's all Strangers in the Night. See, to this day, see if you put that on, Wayne's would be shiting themselves, you know? And how we thought it was bringing people out, but...
I think, as you say, times have changed. And fair play to you. So that was your journey to kind of putting the idea in front of Kevin, right?
And kind of came at the same time, but the two of you kind of went,
kind of came together.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what
we taking us to that point at all, do you know what I mean? It was just a bit of a different way.
You mentioned about Kevin was in renewables at the time. Right, so I'm going to try and get your timeline up to the birth of Solar Specialist Scotland as well.
So I've always been a salesman. I've always been a salesman. I think since the times I could lie to the teacher that my homework wasn't in, I was always a salesman from a young age. And I started at BT, British Telecom, when I was 18 the day after my 18th birthday. I went into British Telecom, and I was a guy that used to phone you and go, do you want call minder? Do you want call waiting? You want it done? But I was really successful, and then, you know, earned a good bit of money and transitioned into the business side of BT and done really, really well with that. You know, always had nice motors, always had that, but it was always a corporate entity. I always worked for somebody, right? And I always had a chip on my shoulder with that, you know, like, I made you more money than I made myself and stuff like that. And it always did eat away me. And then I think I got to that stage that I didn't really care about work that much. I wanted to go out and drink with women and all that sort of stuff. So my career was just a lovable rogue at that point in time, sort of thing. And then you have Wayne's and life kicks in, reality of life kicks in. You go like yourself, right, I need to be a big boy here now and I need to do something. But I always was in that kind of corporate background. So it was always in boardrooms. It was always kind of, I looked after kind of the kind of higher echelon of customers within Scotland for BT. And I transitioned out of that to go and be a sales director in the photocopier industry, and that was cutthroat sales back then, but high risk, high reward and stuff like that. And then obviously COVID hit, and life changed as we know it effectively at that point in time. And people then started working from home, so there wasn't a need for IT systems in big buildings as much and stuff like that. So you're like, right, where's the next move on this? And that's when I moved into renewable energy at that point. I seen an advert coming up for a sales manager in a renewable energy company, and I went, I'm going to try that. Big. I've never been adverse to risk. When I left BT to go to photocopiers, I took a massive drop in salary, but the earnings was there as you were self-employed, but whatever you put in, you got out of it, sort of thing. And I thought, here, that's less I've been constrained with a boss at that point in time. I've got Marian earnings, so I was never adverse to risk. So then when it came to moving into the renewables, it was a massive change on that, right? Because the earning potential wasn't there. And I've always been quite money-led and driven, and, I want nice things in life and all that sort of stuff. So I moved into that, and I was like, yeah, this is completely different. People aren't wearing shirts and ties to their work and all that. So I can turn up looking like a bit half of a toe rag and I'm still all right, So
sound like a toe rag.
Aye, sound like a toe rag, aye. So, and I kind of went in and I kind of learnt the industry a wee bit. I learnt what the pros and cons it were, and I first looked after the marketing side of it a wee bit, and I never knew nothing about it. I was just really good at blagging stuff, right? And I was like, aye, and ended up, this company, which will name nameless at the moment, right? But they were really, really big at the time. They were probably doing about easily 50 to 60 appointments a week, on the marketing side of stuff. And it transitioned there when you deal with the people we had like 5 or 6 girls in the office making the appointments. We had a confirmer, we had all these sort of things in there. And when you start learning about the industry, you go, I quite like this, so learning a wee bit about it more. And then I ended up going out and surveying myself, and then I ended up running the installs for them, and then literally an opportunity came to come to a company just actually next door to here. It was a company, another renewables company in Glasgow that used to be based next door, and they brought me in and said, look, we're an air source heat pump company, can you build the solar for us? And I went, aye, I'll build the solar for you. And I think we took it from 0 installs up to having 50 installs in the bank, right? And we're like that. But then again, this entrepreneur in my head's going, I'm making more people money than I am. I want to do this myself. I don't want to really answer to anybody. And maybe it's the wee boy in me, do you know what I mean? Saying, I want to be me. Nobody's telling me what to do. So I'm like, I want to do this myself. Do you know what I mean? I think I can do this. So literally at that point in time, that's when Michael and I he was looking for a new opportunity. The world had changed for him with the ice cream. The world had changed for me. I've now got this new knowledge. The market's in front of us. Michael's got the doors with the Eco4 guys, with the letting agents. I've got the knowledge. I know how to set the business up. I know how to get accreditations. And ultimately that was
aligned.
Everything aligned at that. And the one thing I will say is we built this with ourselves. We never took loans. We never got investment. We never done nothing. We built it
for ourselves. On the marketing side to bank a wee bit of money to allow us to go through all the accreditations that we had to do for our own.
And jumping through the hoops and but we made as you probably can tell too, is about a jack of the lads, do you know what I mean? Everything in the back of the fag packet, but no with this. But this was something that we said, right, this has got to be serious for the start. We're going to get the right accreditations in place. We're going to go to the market, and we're going to be that company that people go, that's a quality company, or they're an air solar jack of the lad coming in, do you know?
Did that take you right out of your comfort zone, try to get through that whole certification stage, because it is difficult, isn't it? But if you do it right,
John, I think
worth it.
I think the thought of it's actually scarier than the reality of it, because running up to your MCS assessments, we had spoke to some people in the industry, and it's who's doing your assessment, and then we would say, and I'll not say Joe's name, and it was so and so was doing the assessment, and they're like, well, he's fucking he'll tear you out the coals, and he'll do this and he'll do that. But I actually found when we met the guy, he sat and helped us. He sat and went, right, lads, I've got a feel for yous. Yous are good guys. He weeds out, told us he tries to weed out the cowboys. He said, let's see what you've got. Let's see how you're doing it. And a couple of points he said, maybe that could be a wee bit better. Do you know what I mean? And we took it on board and went, right, okay, so it was a learning curve for us. At no point did we sit and go, we've made a rip-roaring arse on us. Do you know what I mean? And we're out our depth. Leading up to it was scary. The actual day of the assessment was fine. And then you've got that wee bit where you're like, right, okay, what do we do? Do you know what I mean? We've got the accreditations, we've got this, we've got that. What are we doing now?
What's the next step? And I think that conversation you have with peers, right? That makes me laugh because when have you ever asked a peer in an industry, how's the governance and the compliance audit coming up? How's that? When have you ever heard piece of cake, no bother, it'll flip. Everybody loves to moan about that stuff.
Do you know what the thing is, Barry, as well? I think a lot of people don't understand it until they went through it properly, right? So I think people can give you advice on your MCS, or they can give you advice on this or that, right? But believe it or not, every governing body's different. So NAPIT's different for NIC, that's different for AI. They're all different. They're all looking for different things, effectively, right? So whatever advice you get for them is never the right advice, because
we're NIC, by the way, the top accredited body in the solar industry.
Just over there, you know. Sorry, there is still, you know. There you go. But you know, and it is scary leading up. But do you know what? These guys aren't there to catch you out. See if you're doing the right things, you're ticking the right box. You're going to make a mistake.
I think they're there to protect you and the customer, and that's what we found out, wasn't it? It was like they're not here to. They're here to help. They're here to make sure.
That's a good attitude, actually. Just use it to your advantage. Listen and learn.
Listen and learn.
That's the key thing. They're there to educate you, right? You're not going to get everything right first time, especially with your first one. You're not going to get everything right. You know, all the rubber stamp stuff you get right, but actually the ins and outs of how your understanding of something like 0.1, 2.4 should be is different. But the guys are there to actually help you. They're not. I think if you were a cowboy and you had your hat and your strip tap on and Tonto was parked outside, they would be like that, right? You know, you're not doing this, you know.
But
we'll not name the company, but when the fella came into our office, first of all, he said, have any of you ever been to do with X, Y and Z? And we're like, no. And he's like, right, okay, I'll sit down then. And we're like, all right. You know, and that was what he said. And we're like,
and then I think we just... it took us a wee bit from our comfort zone of where we were, with who our identity was, where we were in the market, you know. I think
we fell into subcontracting work pretty quick.
That was going to be one of my questions, actually. So you've got accredited for day one, which fair play to you guys, because it costs money. Not everybody does it, and you wanted to start off on the right foot. So that's, you know, kudos. And you mentioned Eco 4 was part of the early plan. So talk us through, because when you first start a business, there's probably a mix of excitement, worry,
ambition and realism,
and equal hands as well. But talk to us about the very first couple of sort of a few months of Solar Specialist Scotland. What were you up to? And you mentioned about the accreditations, but what else was happening?
So when we kind of hit the accreditations, the first thing we done is we phoned the company that we'd been putting all these Eco 4 leads through and said, right, what's the chances of getting some of the work back now? And that's after the big fella. He said to us, aye, no bother, come in and see me. So obviously he had to look after himself, and he had a couple of other people that were in there that they'd been working with and had to look after. But quite quickly we get filtered a lot of Eco 4 solar jobs for install and compliance, because we did all the compliance stuff ourselves on the back end. So quite quickly we were kind of thrust into it, and we kind of hit the ground running. We were
flying 5 to 7 jobs a week. You know, we were absolutely flying on it, right? Flying, and because we taught ourselves the compliance part of the back end of the paperwork, which MD can install solar, but see if you know the pre, the mid, and the end paperwork, then you can't do Eco, right? But we done all that, so ours was a kind of consultancy approach. We'll do the install, but we'll do the paperwork, and we'll hone it out to you payers, and then so we were churning it. It was just constant
all over Scotland, everywhere.
I mean, I think that was our model for about 6 months, and then the boy had approached us and said, what about air source heat pumps? Can you do that? So we're like, right, let's go and get accredited for that.
And again, I'll tip my hat at the big fella, because at the time we were like, we don't know what we're doing with air source, and he was like, we put the boys through the training courses, and he said, right, we'll get you a job. He said, you can install it, we'll help you through it, we'll make sure that everything's fine. And then you submit it and you do your MCS in the back end. So we were already pretty well versed on it.
We were good, and we started flying with AIM. We were doing one at AIM a week, or 5 or 6, and it was just, for that first 12, 14 months, it was just constant. It was just and then
that's when Eco 4 started to wobble.
So this is kind of, I'm guessing, just keep me right, this is probably sort of 2023 and 24.
It was exactly when it was.
And you mentioned the big man. I don't know if you'll divulge who the big man is. I think I know who you're talking about.
You do.
But this kind of goes back to why you got together in the first place, because you mentioned about opening doors. You mentioned about the industry knowledge you had. So combining the two together, your first sort of 12 months sounds like it was a real good.
We were absolutely flying. We were.
As much as it was good, it was bad. And I'll tell you why. Because we are sitting there thinking, how isn't everybody else not doing this? This is piss easy. Do you know what I mean? This is fucking piss easy. We're installing solar, we're doing paperwork, we're getting money in the bank every week. This is fucking a canter. Then Eco 4 wobbles.
Yeah.
And you go, many jobs we got next week, Kev? And you're like, none.
Aye.
Right, okay. On the phone. So jobs come through? Aye. Jobs are coming. Right, all right. Many jobs we got next week, Kev? Still none, mate. Right, okay. And we had that period where there was nothing.
Yeah.
And it was like, we were picking up 1 or 2 private solar jobs, probably through friends and family. Do you know what I mean? That recommended us and things like that.
We had probably nothing in the tank for the January to the March.
Right.
So we'd been successful the year before, but you know, we'd great plans of driving this motor, doing this, we were going to do this, we were going to have that, but ultimately we never, thankfully.
Aye,
and we had
never,
money to get us through that
period.
and then the odd job here and there and stuff like that, you know, through the private. But the private was nothing. It was like, as you say, friends and family, but it was a scary time, by the way. It was like, you know, you're going for having a decent earning, your families are all, you're all happy, you felt secure, you know, you were good to this, you've got nothing. You know,
massive learning lesson for in business, right?
that huge, John.
And you can tell the story, but you then adjusted and looked at that sustainability of a business and not relying on something like that.
That single-handedly is probably the best lesson we've been taught in our business.
And survived it because it wasn't catastrophic.
I mean, it was literally fell off a cliff. Right, fell off a cliff.
And this, when you say the lesson, right? Just to be clear to anybody listening to this, is so you had a real good start and real success off the back of the government funding for Eco 4.
Yes.
Tap gets turned off.
Yep.
Then you've got January to March where you're a bit like, holy fuck.
Yep.
And this is actually quite timely because this is something that's actually happened fairly recently in the industry, isn't it?
Aye.
That's where news come in because James.
That's right.
James had
Jimmy.
so Barry's relation. I was in school with James, so James had seen me kind of putting up things about solar company, and he messaged me saying, "Is it brother-in-law in it?"
Brother-in-law.
He said, "My brother-in-law's got a marketing company and they do a load of renewable stuff." And I'm like, right, okay. So I've known James all my life, and I thought James a good guy. Trust James. I thought, right, okay, let's talk. Opening doors. Let's talk and see what's what. So I think I'd contacted you or Brian. I can't remember. Brian Jolly.
Brian Jolly. We get mixed up anyway.
I should have brought my Brian Jolly t-shirt.
Brian Jolly. My brothers for such a long time.
I can't remember.
Folks still do it, by the way.
I know. Sorry, beggars, John. John Jolly. When he came on.
But he's well.
And then I'd reached out, and I think me and you had a bit of dialogue. And then Brian had come in to see us.
Yeah.
But again, we kind of shot the bed a wee bit because we were like, no, Eco 4's coming back. Eco 4's coming back.
I remember, I think me and Brian both came in to see us because you used to have a
wee place up.
A shop, like a
shop
high street shop, that's right.
Road,
and I actually vividly remember this and you explaining this exact scenario because I remember you saying, look, we've got all these jobs in the board and we're waiting on getting paid out for, but the funding's been turned off. I remember that. So that would have been end of 23.
Barry, we're a good few years down the relationship now, right? We had a lot of people, we courted a lot of people in that office, right? No jobs in the board weren't really jobs in the board. That was just to make ourselves look good, right?
Well, fooled me a bit.
I don't mean marketing companies. I mean, we were trying to fund our world in the eco world again, and we were trying to hang on to in. So we made ourselves try to look bigger and busier than we were.
They say we're sitting here, we're dead as a dodo.
We're sitting on a donut.
Do you know what I mean? Is there anything you can do? Help me.
Do you remember the board we used to make?
I used to change.
It was behind my desk in the
I used to, for a laugh, we used to change. We used to have like the different teams, like the rear source team, or the thingy team would come in, the solar team would come in, and I would have team 1, team 2, team 3, and I would like, team 3 never existed. So
there's the jobs for that.
And the boys, you could see them talking to you, and they're like,
oh, what's that?
Looking at the fucking, and there's nothing under there, dude. You're telling them we're only winding you up, man. Do you know what I mean?
He'll name nameless, I know, but there was one air source heat pump installer. Now we've had a few, so they'll think about it that we always had an ongoing joke with that board. Remember, we used to always have different names for him on the board and stuff like that. He was that dim and dirty, he didn't even know about it. Do you know what I mean? But
you get a feel for it. Everything. I'm not saying everything was a laugh, but see if you can't keep it light-hearted.
You need to keep your sanity, don't you?
If you can't keep it light-hearted, and the boys that we worked with, they were good guys. I know.
We knew them all.
As much as we wound them up, we got it on the other side as well, so you were, it was a bit of tit for tat, but it was always good-hearted. It's light-hearted fun.
It was always the one thing that we always say. We always paid our fitters. We always paid everything. So we always had good relationships. There was a lot of companies out there probably in the same boat as us. They never done that and then broke relationships with their fitters. It's one of the key things that we always said. Even through the rough times, even if we had jobs on the fitters, we'd always get paid and we'd always keep good relationships with them. I think you have to do that, you know. Or
if your name means nothing, you shut the door.
You know, we can phone fitters. I had a wee after Christmas here. I had a wee let's just speak to everybody, see how everybody is. And all fitters that we used to use years ago. Aye, any job we work for, and you're like, that's a really, really good testament to you've treated everybody that you've worked with pretty well. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, and for working with you guys for so long, I can see how you do that, because you just never know when an opportunity might come up where you need somebody.
Aye,
that's that. Aye.
But thinking around that first meeting, right?
Yeah.
So this is the start of 2024. Yous are sitting there, eco's dried up, right? And you're like, shit, what do we do, right? And ultimately, we just started working together in marketing.
Aye.
So talk us through the transition, right, of going from installing an Eco 4, which ultimately you were generating some leads, other jobs were coming to you. It was pretty reliant on the main sort of installer. Then you change. Right, we're going to carve our own path, really, because there's a lot of businesses now that might be an Eco 4 that are actually thinking about doing this now.
Yep.
Don't do it.
There's no business out there.
But talk to us about that initial transition, because it's no easy. You know, give you your due. Use actually invested in new websites, new online presence.
Yeah, you had
You've got
to
your
adapt.
office.
We had to kind of pivot. Was the word
It
that we
was
always
a
kind of used.
mindset thing, wasn't it? Right. So I say we got a lot of help along the way initially. As we say, the big man helped us along all the way. But what we did realise is we were reliant on other people all the time. For our business to succeed, we were reliant on somebody getting work to give us it, or somebody getting funding to give us it. And we just made a mindset. We sat down and we went, right, we love these people have helped us out in life and all that, but we can only trust us. We can only forge our own future if we know what we're doing, right? So we need to be in control of our destiny, effectively. Then you come in and tell us a price. Oh, Jesus God, where's the big man? Do you know what I mean? No, but
well, we should touch on that actually, because this is maybe a good point for you guys.
Right.
So obviously we met yous and everything comes down to cost, right? So the first thing you say, well, you'll say we can do this, we can do that. The first thing they'll say is how much is that what cost me?
Yeah.
So we get a cost and we kind of thought, right, okay, it wasn't scary, it wasn't massive, but then the wee bit of doubt creeps in and you go, I can do this myself. I can do this myself. So after the first meeting, you'll know because it went quiet. So after the first meeting, what we done is we thought we'll just run ads ourselves and we'll see what happens here. Jesus Christ!
sponsored ads.
See when I said don't do it, don't do that, right? Don't do that. And Barry's not giving me money here, by the way. We ran meta ads ourselves, and it was just a load of shit.
You just it was nothing. It was nothing. And if anything came through, it was terrible leads that came through. And we just thought
we need somebody that knows what they're doing.
We need
somebody to hold our horns. And I was quite open with you at the start, saying, "How do we do this? What do we need to do?" And you'd say, "Well, work out a price structure, do this and do that, and put your eggs in a row or ducks in a row, first, and then you can adapt to what we need to do."
That's a proper admirable, admission, really. You know, a lot of people will, hide behind that type of thing, but that's natural, isn't it?
Yeah,
we can do that ourselves. We kind of know we'll try it, but it is difficult, and it's not just that. It's lots of different things in business, and sometimes you just have to lean on people who are kind of in that, and they get up in the morning, they brush their teeth, and that's what they do every single day. Type thing,
they know what they're doing.
But you're right. It's a natural thing to say. Let's try and do it ourselves.
100%. It's like you're a specialist. We pride ourselves in our name, Solar Specialist Scotland, right? Because we're specialists in solar, and
that's what you do.
There's companies that come and ask for our advice on paperwork. We've done consultancy for customers today, their paperwork to get their accreditations to help them along the line, right? That's because we're specialists in that, and we wouldn't no dreamer saying, "Oh, we're specialists in marketing," or "We're specialists in that." There's a reason that people have got their vertical markets, and it takes you to fuck it up yourself, right? Before you realise, right, you need to invest to actually push yourself forward as a business. And that's when we had that realisation that we're going to need to do this.
If we want to get to where we want to be, and it's a progression, by the way, because we're not stopping. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we've got to this and now we're happy.
So we got to a level and then doubled it, didn't we? So
well, that's it. And we'll get into every bit about the marketing, but from the other side, right? the one thing that I've always really enjoyed working with you guys is that you always take a breath every wee while and you take a wee step back and you look at everything and go, right, across everything. So from marketing to surveys to sales to system, you always have a look at it, and whenever you have an idea, it's always, how can we make this better?
Aye.
It's never, this is pure shite, how do we fix it? It's always, how do we make it better?
Aye.
So you've got that real important mentality, for my opinion. That's probably why we've got on so well working together over the years, because we're kind of aligned in that. But at the start, right, of transitioning to paid for renewables is a phrase people call it, really, but and you start injecting all that sort of interest into the business, right? What's that like? What's that initial couple of months? Is it chaos? Or you just, we've got this organised?
It was exciting.
It was exciting.
It was as if, do you know what it was? It was as if we're doing this right. We're achieving something. We're actually, do you know what? We used to coin a phrase. Remember a phrase that used to coin all the time? We're not playing at this anymore.
No
Right?
playing
We're not playing at it, right?
Serious.
We're being our natures are different, completely and utter other ends of the scale. But that's what I think makes it work for us. You're very risk adverse. You're very matter of fact. Or I'm kind of, no, let's do this, let's do that. Kind of entrepreneurial, that side of thing. And see the two of them working. I've got the ideas. Sometimes Michael's got the ideas, but we analyse everything to get it to where it is. So we had done our analysation on, right, this is going to cost us this amount, but we need to do this amount of deals. We know that it's a 1:3 ratio, 1:4. So we'd done all of that, which a lot of people just jump in and go, let's throw enough against that wall.
See what's
Hope for the best.
Although we're just two daft lads for the West End of Paisley, right, we've got a bit of something in between the ears, do you know what I mean? So we analysed it and go, this is where we need to be, this is where we need to get to. And it worked. It just kind of worked for us then. But it was dead exciting because we thought, we're not playing at this anymore. We're a real business.
You're actually phoning people and they're going, I am looking for solar. They're going, Kevin, I've got one, do you know what I mean? We can do the Motorhead, do you know what I mean?
A wee story about it. I'm going to throw you under the bus here, right? Michael couldn't speak to customers initially,
he's a
right?
big
He
shitbag,
used to go out with the phone. Oh fuck, no, Kev, you phone him.
He used to be sitting at the desk, the phone would ring and Kevin would go on his mobile and I would just sit.
And go like
and
that.
the phone's ringing and I'm like, Kevin, just
letting a bit,
better
like
get off
now.
that phone.
See the new. You can't shut him up. You can't shut him up. All he does is talk to customers all day, every day. Do you know what I mean? But so that the reason I mention that is it's about that belief in yourself. It's about that you're not playing at it anymore. You're then you believe in your own ability and your own
Just
self.
popped out my head. Do you remember one of the first private solar jobs we got? A woman at the top of the road. I'll not say her name.
Oh.
So
That's what's hilarious.
she pops into the office. I'm in the office one day and she pops in and she says, hi, how are you doing? I says, oh, very well. And she says, I'm looking for solar. I said, oh, came to the right place then. Just like 200 yards up the street there. Seen your office and stuff. Brilliant. So I'm like to her, right. I says, actually my business partner, he does the surveying and stuff. We'll book you in and we'll come up and see you. Okay, neighbour. All details and everything. Said, we'll be there on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Perfect. So I said to Kevin, I'm going to tag along because I want to see how you do it. Can I learn? No worries. So he goes up, taps the door. Hi guys, say how you doing? Come in. And I'm like, right, okay. So the next thing this woman starts just talking to us and she's going, it's up the stairs. And I'm like, okay. So me and Kevin are away up the stairs and she's going, it's just in that cupboard in there. And I'm like, what? And Kevin's like, in here? And she's going, aye. So he's in her bedroom cupboard and I'm stunning and she says, so do you think that is asbestos? And I'm like, we're here for the solar. And she's gone, oh fuck. Kevin's in her cupboard. Kevin's in her cupboard. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
Do you know what the crazy thing is? See, within 15-20 minutes of speaking to her, we had a solar deal and an unvented cylinder deal.
I don't know if she just felt sorry for us because the two of us are like, it's one of the pure faulty towers moments, you know what I mean? Like, it's in the cupboard, and I'm like, Kevin, what? Do you know what I mean? And he's nudging me, and I'm fucking nudging him. You're getting in the cupboard.
Was that his last one he came out with you on for a while?
We used to do a lot of travelling together, actually. We used to do, see when it was that quiety period and stuff like that. Michael wanted to know a wee bit more, so we used to travel all around Scotland together and all that sort of stuff, and then it was just, we just got too busy that it couldn't work like that. Do you know what
so
I mean?
I kind of describe myself, I'm the home team and you're the away team now, so I'm kind of office based and
that works, doesn't it? That works for you guys.
Play to your strengths. I think that's what you have to do in business. Like I say, with a partnership, as you said earlier on, it doesn't work. It doesn't work if the two of you are competing to do the same things all the time. You need to find what you're good at and what you're no good at. Do you know what I mean?
Stick to that.
And stick to it. And see if you stick to it, it definitely works. See if you just try and get stone in each other's toes. We've got to define it. Michael knows what he does. I know what I do in the business.
And it just comes together.
Equally supporting each other.
Yeah. 100% all the
so
time.
that confidence you're talking about just builds because you know you can rely on somebody else to actually do it.
100%.
John, he bought a sickie one day and I went in a survey. I'm 1-1. I've got a 100% record. I might chuck it tomorrow.
I've only done a couple of hundred, know what I mean?
Well, talking about install numbers, right?
Aye.
So you made the transition at the start of 2024, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was just the two of you when I first met you, right? How many sort of installations do you think you've done in 24 and 25? Considering it was a standing start, right, which is as hard a start as you'll get.
So we didn't kick off with you guys to probably, I think it was about August 2024, because we met you, then we went quiet, and then we come back and went, right, let's go. So I would say 2024, we never really done many, right, at all. But 2025
was a big year.
We'd kind of built the background, because a lot of the stuff people are looking at bigger inverters, so it's G99, so you're up to 12 weeks waiting time. So when we're starting to look at stuff, September, October kind of time, and they're looking 12 weeks for then. So by the time the turn of the year come round, we had a bank of jobs. I remember speaking to you and you saying to me, users installing, users doing great, keep going, do you know what I mean? And it just kind of went woof for there. Right up to maybe October again.
Aye.
And then we made a couple of mistakes.
We made that.
Which I'll throw my hands up to, because we had looked at our pricing, and I'll throw my hands up. I made an arse here and probably priced ourselves out the market. And I should clear that up. It wasn't us being greedy.
No,
it was just basically me doing some drang, and I made an arse here. And that period there probably damaged us, because where we were maybe turning 10 jobs, whatever, a month, whatever it was, you've then went to nothing again. And it's like,
So you just have to recalibrate.
Something's not right here.
Do you know, we sit down and we discuss everything all the time. As you say, we're good at reviewing stuff, right? If something's not working, we'll review it quickly. We'll do the quick figures on the market, and we'll do the quick figures. Like we done it the other day. I was telling you, I was explaining to you today about sometimes you run about like headless chicken up to the back of beyond and all that. And we done a quick analysis yesterday and said, do we need to really go up to the north of Scotland? And that's actually one of our most profitable places when you do the figures on it, right? But it's just your mind, so we have to reset. And like I say, I know you've done the sums, but we both agreed to the pricing, and we should have known. But we were
you trusted me to do it, right?
We were that much in, and we were busy, we were rolling, we were doing this, we were doing that. Like, I don't think there's many private companies of our size that are doing 150, 170 private installs in the 1 year. Do you know what I mean? For a standing start. And that's what we did in 1 year.
And was that your first full run at it, your first full year really, with investing in marketing and growing the team? Because there's more than just the two years now, so it's all growing. You've done what, about 150 installs last year?
Circa about 150. Done a lot. What we did, we got a host of inverter changeovers, remedials, and all that as well within that. But I'd say about circa 150. But they're no 150 eco installs, 6 panels, tied inverter.
Proper private.
We've got one getting in the days, 35 panels, end-phase system. Massive.
And that's for going for relying on other people for your pipeline.
Yes.
No being able to speak to the first few customers who picked up the phone.
Yep.
Now you're 150 installs in a year.
Ripping out asbestos.
Being the boiler guy, the boiler guy.
We don't know.
But I think that's brilliant. And we've just been a very small part in your story. We've been supporting you in this particular way, but I've seen the business change. And I've seen you guys change, and there's been more and more. And there's always challenges, and there's always ups and downs. And good months, bad months. But you are always just full of enthusiasm every time I speak to you. So that's class. Well done.
And you've adapted with technology change as well, and consumer habit requirements, and the consumer's understanding of renewable technologies and the different products. Right?
Customers are very well educated now, John, and I think that's a great thing.
Inverters are getting bigger and smarter. You've got the battery integration as well, and you've had to kind of adapt to that in a fairly short space of time.
I think what we offer a customer is we alluded to at the start, we're sales guys, right? But we're no sales guys now. I actually hate sales now. I don't like sales. I like educating customers. It's a consultancy that we give our customers, that we go and see them. We don't sell to them. We don't ask for decisions on the day. We don't ask for both of the partners to be there or anything like that. We go, we educate.
What's the other one? 30% discount for phone our manager.
That's the shite that you hear out there, by the way. We literally, I'm going to survey just to make sure that what we tell them, we can actually install it, right? Because that's the fundament. And you go and you go, what? You're not asking for a decision. You're no need my... No, listen, I'm here because, one, I own the business and I want to be in front of you, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's key. I think a lot of companies go down the road of hiring consultants or hiring... All they're doing is hiring sales guys. That's all it is, to go out and sell their product. Doesn't work.
See, if it works for them, I wouldn't bash it. But it doesn't work for us. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't work for us.
If it's no the right fit for you guys.
We sell on the back of you're always either talking to myself or Kevin
100%.
at some point. So... Now, obviously, maybe not so much me at the front end. It used to be me at the front end all the time, and then Kevin would go to see them, and then you've been constant contact with them through it. Girls in the office do quite a bit of that now. But any incoming calls to the office, if people are asking any technical stuff, I'm always there, do you know what I mean, to answer. So you've always spoke to me or Kevin. You've always seen at least one of us, and we're always at the end of the phone.
I've always got one of our mobile numbers. I know that's a key thing that we get our customers.
It's a trust thing. A lot of your demographics kind of retired people,
100%,
and they want somebody that they can look in the whites of their eyes and say, "You're the guy for me." Do you know what I mean?
We're always looking at technology. This is the thing. We're always looking at technology, and we're always giving our customers a consultancy advice, because the technology changes on a daily basis, monthly, weekly basis sort of thing. We are no this race to the boat and we'll give the cheapest stuff. We'll give our customers exactly what they're looking for and exactly what they need, right? And you know, that's holds us in really good speed, because you know we're never the cheapest, we're never the most expensive, but we're giving our customers exactly what they're looking for.
I'll give you a good example on that. So look at that boy for last night that come back.
Aye.
So a guy that we've just won a job. So the guy had went with another company, right? And the company had sold him what they thought was going to be right for the guy. Unfortunately, the company never made it through Christmas and that. So one thing led to another, and the guy ended up on their doorstep. So he's told us all the backstory. Kevin went out and surveyed it, and he said, this is what the boys were going to put in, blah, blah, blah. And we kind of looked and went, that's not going to work for what you want it today. Yep. And I'm not decrying that other company, by the way. It just, when the customer explained to us what he wanted to happen for the system, we were like, that's not going to do that. So we went away and we priced it up on different equipment. EcoFlow, Barry, EcoFlow.
Let's get a plug, EcoFlow.
I'll tag them in it.
And we went back, and we were, I think there was about a £3,000
there was £3,000
disparity between us and the other company. So the guy come back to us last night and went, right away, listen, yous are too expensive, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. Just leave it. And Kevin's like, no problem. But let me explain to you why we're expensive. Well, we're not expensive. Why we're more than what the first system quoted was. Because the system we're going to give you is what you're looking for.
And it'll work.
It's going to work, and it's going to do this. And the guy come back about an hour later and went, okay, no bother, when can you install it? Let's go ahead, I'll fill the paperwork in. And that was it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the moral of that story with me is, when I do speak to customers on the phone, I'll say to them, somebody else might be $2,000 cheaper than us, but do you want to spend $6,500 on a system that's never going to do what you want, or do you want to spend $8,500 on a system, or $10,500 or whatever it is on the system that's actually what you want? I would rather have a system that works for that money than a system that doesn't work for that money.
100%.
$1,000,000%.
I completely is all in the design, right? Because you know, at the end of the day, right, your major component parts are what they are. The pricing isn't that far apart from the major components, right? The thing that makes the difference really is the design of the system. And if that design of the system is suitable for the property and the client, that's the price. Right? People can then mess with that up or down. But if it's the wrong design for the client, it's the wrong price.
Definitely.
And that's difficult with customers at times, right? Because sometimes it's the price, but it's that explanation and that's that deep dig to say, actually, this is what it is, and it's the best possible solution for your property and for you.
I think over the hundreds of installs that we've done right for the start, we've maybe had one occasion that we've not been able to install exactly what we said that we were going to install on the roof. And I still to this bloody day say that we could have installed it, right? But the fitter at the time said, no, I can't get it up there. But it's a bone of contention with me to this day.
What's the phrase? Oh, this is a cunt of a job.
Aye, that's a
Barry, honestly, see if we put my phone back on the now, we'll 2 messages. This is a cunt of a job. It says, we actually laugh with the spark, don't we?
Honestly, that's his go-to word. But this was a job. But this was a specific job, and it still eats at me. And it's a local job. It's in Paisley, and all right. So I pass it, and I always go. I say to you all the time,
aye.
One eats away at me, or any time that fitter goes, oh, we can't do this. And we push back and they go, right, oh no, we can do this now, Kevin. I always go, see, that's like that one, you know.
I take a bit of lead for the guys that are on the roof as well, because it's alright us sitting in a nice warm office going, nah, I think you'll get an air panel on that, do you know what I mean? They're up there, it's blowing a fucking gale. They know, they're there, do you know what I mean? They can physically measure the roof. The boys chalk it, the boys go up, first thing the boys do, they'll measure it, they'll chalk it, they'll do everything, make sure that what's going to happen is going to happen. That one occasion, you're probably, Kevin still swears you'll get it on, the boys still to this day swear you will do. I think it's one of the ones that it's on the cusp. And personally,
I can go on.
VAR.
Oh, don't talk to me about VAR. This is getting recorded after a questionable red card at the weekend.
Questionable.
It's been appealed.
But that what you are talking about there, right? And you know, you're saying about education, consultative sales,
Yes.
right? And you know, whether you like it or no, you are doing consultative selling, and that's just the way you guys are. You know, you're not trying to hammer a deal down somebody's throat or get them to sign up before you finish your cup of tea in their house or anything like that. You know, that's
see,
just
if you
not
go
your
through the
style.
Facebook page, you'll see a couple of comments or a couple of maybe screenshots or emails or something that we've grabbed and put up, and it's like I had a woman, I can't remember the lassie's name now. She's a lovely woman. I spoke to her for about an hour on the phone, right? She'd come through the lead generation.
Right.
I'd give her a call. We'd spoke about what she was trying to achieve with solar. We'd spoke about her usage. And I'm saying to her, if I had 7 or 8 grand in the bank, missus, I would be going to America with your usage. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be.
Aye.
And she's going, really? And I'm going, aye. And I explained the figures to her. And she's like, I've had people telling me that like, I'll save, or I'll save 100% of my bill and I'll make all this money, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying to her, but you're having to outlay 8 grand. Your bill's like £200 a year. It was nothing, do you know what I mean? And I'm going, even if you save 100% of your bill, it's going to take you 40 years to make your 8 grand back. And she's saying to me, I'm 73, son. And I'm going, is it been cheeky? Do you know what I mean? Somebody else is going to be saving your £200 a year. And we find it quite a lot. And when you're honest with people, see if you're honest with people, they respect it. Now, I've got a phrase I always say to Kevin. We always say it together. If I wouldn't do it at my granny's house, I wouldn't do it in your house.
Aye.
So if I don't think that it's right for you, I'm not here to steal your money. I'm not here just to take your money.
We've walked away for deals before, by the way. We've walked away for deals before because it's not the right thing.
More so telling people that it's not right for
it's
them
not
and
right for
letting them make the decision.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if somebody comes and says, Michael, I don't care. Like, I'll tell you, we've got an install going in the Isle. And I said to the guy about his payback, and he says, I don't care, I just want it. And you're going, okay,
all right,
that's at your point. We're at the point now where you've made the decision. I've told you that I think it's going to take X, Y, and Z to pay it back. You're happy with that? That's your bag. Do you know what I mean?
We have a lot of customers that put it in for their families that's coming after them.
Yeah.
Right? So
It's a big one, isn't it?
You know, the old coin, the phrase for them is, I might not see the benefits, son, but my family will see the benefits here, right? And we're like, right, I get this. I get why people sometimes do it, you know, but like I say, there is times we'll advise our customer going, I don't think solar's right for you, or I don't think battery storage is right for you. Do you know what I mean? But we'll give you a quote anyway, but look,
It's your decision.
It's your decision, you know. And
I think that's especially in such a competitive industry, right? Where you know there's probably a bit of a industry within it that is commission only sales reps and people that are literally sell anything, right? And I think yous have got a strong position in there by just going, look, I wouldn't, if you're not going to put it in your granny's house, if we're not selling it, love that. It's dead simple to understand. And obviously there's some other things you mentioned there, right? Marketing, sales, bedrock, say, solar businesses, because you know you go sale to sale, really, right? But
my stomach's not getting picked up in this. The big man's hungry.
Cam, get some biscuits.
I'm on a diet, Gary.
Subway salads is what we normally get.
I think that's fake calories, but we'll go somewhere. We'll finish with that.
So what I was going to ask you, right? So to go from 0 to 150 installs, right? it rolls off the tongue now, but there's a shitload of stuff that goes on between there, right?
Yep.
Now, through to that, there'll be times where you're under pressure, under pressure, and with the two yous in partnership, right? How do yous look after each other? Have yous got traits that you
Kevin
can pick
looks
up?
after me, that's it.
Like, you can pick up when he's under the cosh, or vice versa. How do you kind of help each other?
Barry, everybody knows when I'm under the cosh, man. It's fucking vocal, it's loud, everybody hears it, do you know what I mean? Yous will probably go right in that chat as well.
I think it's just you know each other, you get to know each other's traits, right? That's what it is. You get to know. I don't tend to get stressed out that much, right, until I've got an install going on, right, and then I get a wee bit stressed out with the install, right. So I'm normally alright most of the time, and then when the install's alright in the morning of the install and everything's okay, I'm alright with it, sort of thing. So, but I think for me, in the infancy of a partnership and all that, I used to take a lot of things on my shoulder. Right, and I used to maybe not talk about things or things that went wrong or anything like that, and I used to just try and solve everything myself, and I maybe just try and do things and maybe not be openly honest about all the problems that we had with this, that and the next thing, right? And I think for me, definitely, I talk about everything now, right? So see bad, indifferent, good, I'll pick up the phone and go, Michael, this is fucked up, this is this. And all you're doing is sounding it off against somebody, right? So what you're doing is, you're not dealing with it yourself, you're sounding it off, and Michael will go, Kev, it's not that bad, we'll do this, and we'll do that, and then you go,
oh, it's fucking catastrophic, Kevin.
Or it'll be like, oh, for fuck's sake, how did I not think about that? Do you know what I mean? Because you're right in the depths of it.
Yeah.
And you're maybe the same, but just a wee bit higher layer strung at times, but it always comes down to we make a solution. We always get a solution for it, no matter what.
I'm dead reactive with things, and that's something I've worked on myself with my ADHD diagnosis. I keep throwing it in there. Every time I do something else now, I say to Lois, it's ADHD.
It's going to get a business card done, by the way. Michael Larkin, ADHD.
No, it's, I have, John. I was dead reactive with things, and I've learned myself now, especially maybe with this business has taught me, don't be reactive, take a breath. Do you know what I mean? Sit back, take a breath. See if somebody phones you and it's an immediate problem, then you need to deal with it. But see if somebody phones you and, like, I've got a smashed panel, say, no, boy, we'll get it fixed. Do you know what I mean? Like, take a breath, it's not, oh my God, you're a smashed panel.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself as well.
Well, that's the problem. I was the worst in the world for reacting to a customer all the time. So the minute that they would say something like, right, we need to solve this, we need to do this, no, we don't, it's not your problem, it's not your fault, it's not this, it's not that.
We'll help them.
The answer, like, you just learn other people's, there's no set thing that's saying, right, when you feel like that, you do this or you do that, it's just you learn each other's, it's like any relationship in life, isn't it, whether it be with your Wayne, your wife, your business partner, you learn their quirks, and you learn when they're not maybe on the ball, you learn when there's something wrong with them.
You've touched on something there that we pick up a lot of slack for each other.
Aye, 100%.
There's never a time that I know if I don't do something or if I fall behind or anything that Kevin's not going to step in and make it right. Do you know what I mean? And it works the other way as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where it becomes a good partnership. You can sit in the house and sulk and go, well, no, fuck it, he was meant to do it. How's that going to help your business? Do you know what I mean?
Your business is obviously growing and it's going to continue to grow, and we'll come into that as well as to what your growth plans are. How do you continually to manage the business but also manage you guys as individuals to make sure you didn't come to that stage where it could be burnout or just too much for you?
I think the next step for us is probably getting people in place that we can trust.
Right.
And I mean that, I don't mean folk who are in there.
You need somebody to come in that you can run it.
Day to day.
I think the next position is for us is to get somebody in to run the thing for us, and I'm not saying that that's 6 months, a year, or 2 years down the line, but I think
next step.
I think what we do, I think a lot of people do it, and we realise it quite a lot. We manage our business, we don't direct our business at times, right? And that's when the realisation comes 3 months later and go, why did we not do this? Why did we not do that? Because we're too busy to do this, that, and the next thing, right? And everybody will say, aye, we run a successful business, we do that, we do that. The people that run successful businesses have got people in running the business for them, and the people that own the business are directing the business in the sense that they're looking 20 metres. I always get an analogy, somebody always tell me an analogy, and it's a sales analogy, right? But it stuck with me, right? When you drive a motor, you're looking 10 metre in front of you, right? So, you know, that's you managing your business every day, day to day. If you're driving a motorbike, you need to look 100 metre in front of you because you want to see the obstacles that's going to come, because it can be more critical to you as a person. That's directing a business, right? And that's what we need to get to next, is directing the business, managing this growth of this thing that's starting to culminate and get bigger and bigger. We can't do that. We can't do it ourselves. We can't do it ourselves, right? And I think that, you know, as you say, I'd love just to be out in surveys all the time and just got to speak to it. That's my dream, that's it, do you know what I mean? But ultimately, there's still a lot that I still do, and there's a lot that you do, and we need to get to that stage that we need to be looking at, right, where's the... Actually, we say all the time, we need to make a couple of hours to sit down and we never ever get there.
Aye,
and then an air week passes, I think we're now no far off with our business that we need to turn around and go, right, where are we going? Where's our next...
Where's the next
We're riding the bike rather than driving the motor, do you know what I mean? That's what I would say.
And to be fair, like the journey of going, I like that analogy actually, swapping for the bike to the sort of swapping for the car to the motorbike.
You got to use that, Barry, haven't you?
Oh, aye.
good
You'll see that one pop up my LinkedIn soon. It's the hardest one you'll go through. You know, like I'm in that journey now.
So maybe I know who.
You question everything, don't you? Question
You
everything.
need, and what happens is, from my perspective, when you start letting go of things and you get people in, your confidence grows with it. You have the odd man where you get the wrong person in, and then it dwindles. But you just know that you'll make mistakes, and you just keep going. And
My problem will be I micromanage everything. I'll ask somebody to do it, and then I'll double check it.
You'll get in there.
Aye, do you know what I mean? And instead of, and it'll be right, it'll be done right anyway, but I've then spent the time that I would spend anyway looking at it
But it
again.
consumes more of your time,
It
and your
consumes more of
emotion,
my time,
and your
aye.
energy.
Well, that's
So
the key thing.
I spend my time, John, when I'll delegate something and say, can you do that? I ain't bother. And then I'll spend the next hour try to do what I'm doing, but thinking, should I have told them to do it like this? Should I have told them? Should I ask them to do it like... Instead of just... And it's always right anyway. The lassies are always bang on, do you know what I mean? But it's always like...
I think that's what it is. It's see when it's your baby and you've created these procedures and processes yourself. We've sat down at the very infancy and go, this is how we're going to do this. This is what a contract looks like. This is what I see. Any things that we change, it's like, what are we doing that for? What are we doing this for? Or see anything that you delegate out, you're going, how's that not been done? Or how's this not? And it's not, but it's always getting done, right? But that's your mindset needs to change. Our mindset needs to change for us. And it's the problem is nobody's going to care about it the same way as we care about it, right? That's the key. Nobody's going to do it. Nobody's going to do it, right?
Oh, even your wives and stuff. My wife will tell me to shut up. Do you know what I mean? I'll come home and she'll be like, you finished it. Well, you say we finish at 5. We never fucking finish at 5. But also say to me, you fucking finished at 5 o'clock. It's 11:30. You're still talking shit about solar. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going, I know.
It's your
but
family,
you hit the nail on the head. Nobody will do it as well as you.
Aye.
You know, I've got a wee sort of subtle rule that if 70-80% as well as me, delegate. But also, here's a wee analogy for you back, right?
Yeah,
so
I like these.
I'll say that when the phase that you are kind of coming out of the now is you're forever swapping your time for money.
Aye.
Right? The phase you're going to enter in the now around being the directors is you're actually going to swap your money for time.
I shouldn't take long next one.
50 pences at each other, do you know what I mean? No, I get it, but I get it, do you know what I mean?
And that's kind of where we are as a business as well, to be fair. But
we'll no need to talk about our business, but, you know, we as directors have blocked out times on a monthly basis and a quarterly basis to sit down out the office, completely out the office, completely. And that's our zone, right? And sometimes, you know, through my kind of my corporate life, but into this business as well, is see that 2 hours you spoke about, we didn't get the time. There is always something else to do, right? I bet you would never miss a customer appointment, and I bet you would never have a customer. Think it as that.
Aye, that's true.
Say for that 2
Put it in
hours
the
on
diary
that
and stick
Thursday
to it.
afternoon at 2 o'clock, I'm actually going to see Mr. and Mrs. Smith, right?
Aye.
You know, you're going to see used to.
Aye. Out the
That's
office.
your customer time. You're out the office. It's blocked in, and it's your time. You work in the business type thing.
Aye.
No.
I think it's a customer appointment, but it's your internal customer appointment.
That's actually spotting the money, John, because we do it all the time, don't we? We'll say Friday morning, the two of us are together, or Friday, and then we'll come in the Friday morning and we'll go, fucking so-and-so for me, so-and-so for me.
We can't do it in the office because it'll just, as you say,
just get out. Aye,
But
aye.
you-
That's actually a better idea,
Do you know something? Do you know what the thing is? I know. See, when we actually do sit down, the business
Things
moves
happens.
forward.
Aye.
The
Things
business
happen.
moves forward every time. But the problem is, it can take 6 months before the next time when it should be on a monthly basis. Do you know what I mean? That we sit down and we move. Even it's the old there's an error that they're all 1%. Make sure your business is better 1% month on month, and then by the time the end of the year, you're 12% better than you were when you started.
But the other thing is, I said it earlier, is yous are good at stepping back. Because I could probably know exactly when your last few meetings have been, when you have actually got time. Because the phone goes, the plan
something
comes
comes in the
over,
chat,
and then we're like, right, okay, let's go and execute that
Nicola
plan.
has to get in there and report.
And then I'll be like, Nicola, help me.
But it's funny, me and Barry were on a video call with my cousin in the background, and I'm saying, sheet that report.
It's hard.
I forgot about that.
It's hard, I know, because it's like, and I want to say this to everybody because they maybe not always believe it as well. It's our families that sacrifice the most, right?
Aye,
100%.
I mean, I've got a young family, but Michael's got a younger family than me, right? But the thing is it's them that you're on the phone going, shut your fucking mouth, I'm on the phone, I'm on it.
And I get it in the motor all the time, the veins want your attention.
It's gone, and they go, and they're just looking at you and going, Dad, I just want to play with you, or Dad, I want a game of darts, or Dad, I want money out your pocket, you know what I mean? And
I
you're
was a
going
vet last night.
Aye.
A vet last night.
Was that a vet?
Mickey Mouse had sore hands.
But you're like that all the time to them. They become a wee bit of a second fiddle sometime, and that's terrible to say. That's terrible to say, right? But if we did have the time that we swapped the money for the time, then it's the families that are going to benefit for it, because it's them that sacrifice us.
We always tell ourselves we're building something here that will benefit them in the long run.
Yeah.
But what I've came to realise is you'll be the same now because your boys are getting bigger. Sophie's an adult. But they're no wee for long. Do you know what I mean? My biggest daughter's she's got to be 17 this year now, and you're like, I had a lot of time with her because through COVID and everything, do you know what I mean? But my younger two, Millie's 6 and Mikey's just 1, and you think for the last 4 or 5 years now, I don't want to say you've been away, but you've been there as much as you possibly can, but sometimes your head's away as well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, you tell yourself, I'm building something here as a legacy for them to reap the benefit of.
Well, that's it. The biggest driver for me is to have a future for my Waynes, right? Like, I get the old, like my boys, Alfie's 8, my middle boy's 13, my oldest boy's 16, my daughter's 22, so they're older than Michael, so they don't need as much attention. But see when you zone back in after you're on the phone, you're dealing with this, you're dealing with that, and they turn around and go, Dad, your head's always in your phone, and you go, do you know what? And then I go like that to them when they're at a dinner table, get your head out the phone.
Aye.
I'm going,
You're already getting it. Get off that phone.
Well, you've been on the phone all day.
The biggest driver for me anyway, and you're the same, is we want to leave a legacy for our Waynes, man. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, is leaving that legacy and being able to give them the time back, so the nice holidays, the whatever, and that has to be our determination.
Look, there isn't a better driving force than that, in my opinion, really. You know, I think that's why I'm in the game as well. But
That's it.
Yeah.
But you've done brilliant, and the hardest thing is to switch off, right?
Aye.
World's worst for it here. Sorry, Steph, earlier if you're listening. I'm brutal at it. That's how you get random messages from me at all sorts of weird times.
That's like a running joke with me and you in Texas. Sometimes me and Barry are on the phone to each other at 9:30 at night. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, Barry, I'm really sorry to phone you, but it was in my head. And he's like, no mate, fire away. Do you know what I mean?
And then sometimes I'll phone him and go, message, sorry, feeding time at the zoo, I'll phone you back. And you actually, like, I don't purposely phone you at that time knowing it's that time, but you forget.
100%.
And that goes back to your point around your mind's not fully there in your home environment.
It isn't it? Because we message each other every night, and I mean every night, and whether it be Saturday night, Friday night, Sunday night, there's always something, remember this, or what about this, or this customer's come back to us, and this and that, and you think to yourself, this is 24/7, but then you need to have that marker in your head while you're doing it. You know what I mean? That's the key. That's my drive anyway. That's 100%.
And you're still helping each other.
Yeah.
Going touch points at the weekend. It's just you're helping or reminding.
I've got a terrible. I've got my memory. I'll forget your names when I walk out here shortly, right? But my
just got me Brian anyway.
See, because I speak to that many people in the one day, and you're in it. This customer, that customer, that. If I didn't have Michael tell me, remember that customer, he's like, that customer's come back to us, go ahead. I was like, what customer? The one you seen yesterday, Kevin? What one? Do you know what I mean?
And then that's where it came in handy when I'm on the phone to them, because I know the backstory already, and I'll say, it's like the fella for last week, Andy, I was talking to this boy, and I was on the Google Earth, and I said, is that a Mitsubishi Pajero you've got driving? He's like, aye. And so I ended up talking to him about his motor and blah, blah, blah. And it looks like we're actually going to win that one as well. The fellas, Kevin went out to survey him, and he said to Kevin, see, before you leave, going to take some pictures of the water to show Michael. So I've got all these pictures of this old Jeep that I really like.
And it's just that total.
And that's how you remembered it, wasn't it?
And then I drove by it the other day. I drove by it yesterday morning. I'm like, there's a boy's Pajero.
That's the thing that sticks in your head.
And we're talking, are we up in Ellen? Are we up in the back of Beyond? And I'm like, there you go. Everywhere you pass, and you're like, oh, that's that man, that's that guy, that's that guy.
So the old cliche, remember, you used to see the adverts, it was a builder and they used to be in the motorways ways and he says, I built that house now. Our boys done that, so my
kids are sick of it as well, like a professional roof watcher.
Well, that's it.
Those cracks up with me because there's one house down in Greenock, right? I'll not tell you what it is because I don't want to embarrass the people that done it, but you go up the hill when you're going out of Greenock and there's a house that sits right in the hill and somebody's put a panel on that's overlapping the top of the roof, and every time out this overlapping the ridge, every time we go by it, I say, look at the fucking state of that. Look at the fucking... My boys wouldn't have done that. And you literally, when you're coming up to it, we like to go a wee drive down Larkin and come in the coast road, and every time we're coming up to it, she says to me, is that house up there?
She remembers
it. How bad it's go. I've got a game with my Waynes now. How many panels do you think you can get in that roof? The three boys up there. I'm not even kidding. How many panels do you think you get on that roof? Do you know
Even, I mean, I'm nowhere
that must
near
be
as...
what you do then, just take the average.
You'll be chatting with doors soon, you know.
I know.
But I mean, I'm nowhere near as ingrained in the industry as you. Obviously, you're installers. But even I found when I get into solar, when I properly get into it, like you'd just be going into any street and you'd just naturally look at the roof. And you'd go, fucking hell, man, there's 7 houses in this street that don't have solar.
I find myself in that
I do that all the time.
That's a cracking roof for solar. Even if they've not got it, that'd be a cracking roof for solar, do you know what I mean?
Or it's the opposite. There's a I can never remember the road coming down for the Abbey Inn down to the Boatman Street. What's that road? Barhead Road, is
Barhead
it?
Road.
So Barhead Road, you come down it, and it's just the way I go home every night if I'm coming off the motorway, and there's like 7 houses that have had an eco install on my right hand side.
You got to mention the one that's out of line.
But they're all right, and there's one out of line, there's one to the left hand side, there's one in the middle. So the 2 things that crack me up and go, that's a shite install, and I never fucking done any of them. Do you know what I mean?
You see it in my back window and I never get a kick
I can see it in my back window. I'm like,
never get a kick in the ball.
Never get a kick in the ball. There's like 6 of them in the one row, and I'm
I drive out my boss estate as well, and I'm like, fucking somebody else.
How did we not get that job? Right, so I'm going to ask you to finish up a bit about what the future plans is for solar specialists, but I'm going to ask you 2 quick fire questions before then, right? So we've got into all sorts around partnership, business, and how you have grown it for the standing start, right? So I'm going to ask Kevin the first one, right?
Hey, go for it.
So run a solar business, right? What is your least favourite thing about that? Or the hardest thing in business, do you think, in your journey so far?
Probably taking that jump to the next step, making that final decision. I'll either spending money on something or taking the leap into the unknowns are hard. I could say the usual shit, dealing with fitters, dealing with that, but that's enjoyable. You end up learning about them and all that. But probably the hardest thing is, and the gut wrenching thing is, making sure you're doing the right thing, making sure your decision's right all the time. If it is, and it's not right all the time, but for me, that's the hardest thing for me, is to commit to something that I don't know. Committing to something that I don't know is probably the hardest.
Like a new strategy or a new avenue or a new product.
Taking that jump. I used to always think change is the one constant thing in business, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. All the corporate stuff you hear all through the years, right? But I don't actually deal well with change either when you think about it. Do you know what I mean? See, when I narrow it all down, the person that I thought I was isn't the actual person it is when it's actually yours. Do you know what I mean? When it's somebody else's money or somebody else's company, you can play with it. Do you know what I mean? But when it's yours, you can't play with it. So for me, it's just the thing I don't like is making a big decision on something that might come back and bite me in the arse. That's probably the hardest.
One of the hardest things about doing this, isn't it? You know?
And we've made some wrong ones, we've made some good ones, haven't we? But
you know, I always find that see if you speak to somebody in business that tell you they get everything right, they're a fucking liar. They're a liar. 100%. We've made mistakes. We've made mistakes on jobs as well. We'll not sit here and proclaim to be the fucking golden boys of solar. We've made mistakes in jobs, but I'll tell you what we do. We fix it, and it's how we fix it that probably has got us a good name.
And we
do you know what I mean?
We learn
so I'd agree with that.
Big decisions, and you can both weigh in this as well, right? So
man, I'll get my moment myself now.
I'm interested to see if you agree, right? So I'm going to ask you the easier question,
right? Okay.
Or I could say the easier. What's your your favourite thing about running a solar business with Kevin? In the solar industry in general?
So I think that's 2 different questions. So my favourite thing about being in the solar game, and I really thrive on people being happy with what we've done. Right. I really, really enjoy that. I really enjoy the messages or the Mr. and Mrs. McRobbie with the Christmas cards, stuff like that.
Aye.
Makes me think, right, I've delivered something that you wanted and you liked and you're happy with. So that makes me happy. What I enjoy running the business with Kevin is probably, I'm going to sound a bit cheesy here, but Kevin kind of levels me out a wee bit because I'm emotional with things. And I probably couldn't have done, or we couldn't have done the things that we've done if it wasn't for each other. And that's, I can, I've got to agree, I'm kidding.
Never know, Michael, never know.
Say ADHD. If I mentioned that, I can bounce off of Kevin with things. And maybe not even so much work stuff.
Yep.
Personal stuff. Do you know what I mean? And things maybe with the wains or life. Do you know what I mean? Just in general. And it's a wee release. Do you know what I mean? If you're in business with your pal, some people say it doesn't work. But sometimes when you're sitting there, you can actually waver away for 15 panels and a battery and an inverter. Last night the rain wasn't very well and I'm tired today, and Kevin will say, well, what you go today? Oh, I don't have much going up the road. Do you know what I mean? I'm here anyway, I'll cover this.
We do it all the time. That's fundamental. The thing for me is working with your pal, not just somebody that's a business thingy. Do you know what I mean? It's like your conversations can divulge for the Waynes to this, to that, and it all goes round and roundabouts, right? But ultimately it all comes down to trust for me, right?
Yeah.
I can trust Michael explicitly with anything I say to him, whether it be personal, whether it be business, whether it be anything. It's no judgmental, but he'll give an opinion, and it's vice versa back.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what kind of levels both. I'm absolutely terrible, as I said. I'm the most disorganised person in the world, right? I'm good with paperwork and I'm good with all that, but see, just general things, and he keeps me right all the time, right? Have you done that, Kev? Have you done that? And I used to always, and I'll go back to I used to always go, who the fuck is he to tell me that? Or who's the fuck to question me on that? And it wasn't about that. It's about, he was playing at his strength about remembering this and keeping an order, right? Yeah. And I used to go, I'm fucking, you're not my boss, right? And I used to remember years ago.
Silly boy.
And then see now, I do that to myself. Michael, didn't he do that?
Yeah.
I'd have forgot about this. We wouldn't have done this. We wouldn't have done that. And actually, it works. It's about the gel. It's not about
thankful.
Yeah.
100% thankful. For me, it's not about two bulls getting into a field and knocking heads with each other. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm a big personality, you're a big personality. It's not about controlling something. It's not being the man. It's not being about charge or something. It's about how, and that's what we're absolutely brilliant at. Is, and you see a lot of people, they all want to be the man. They all want to be
number one.
Yeah.
All want to be number one.
It doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean?
That makes perfect sense. I think it's the trust.
Aye.
Big time. But also listening to each other.
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always see people there that'll, or I've met people in my career and they'll go, what's your opinion of this?
Aye.
And all they do is wait to talk.
Aye. It doesn't matter what your opinion
It doesn't
is.
matter what you say, they just all right, fine.
Aye, but.
And then I'll tell you how I'm going to do it anyway.
Aye,
right?
aye.
I don't get that used to, because I've seen you know, you're sort of collaborative and all that as well. So
I think the big thing as well is we Beefies can throw our horns up when we're wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Aye,
They
that's
really
it.
digs their heels in and go, no, I wasn't wrong. This is what I'm, no. We Beefies throw our horns up, and I touched on it earlier. Sometimes people make mistakes.
We have
Do you know
lasses
what I
in the
mean?
office that beat themselves up. Recently, they beat themselves up about getting stuff wrong, and I go, I get stuff wrong every single day.
Aye.
Every
But
day
that
I
shows
get it
the
wrong.
care.
Do you know what I mean?
Although if you're watching this, we don't normally give Teslas away for free.
No, but what I'm saying is it's all of you. People go, "Nah, don't do that, don't do this, don't do it." See, if we can't, you know what, if we can't see that we make a mistake, and I make more mistakes than anybody, by the way, but it's again, when you're spinning, I say it always, see if you're spinning like 5 or 6, 7 different plates, you've got to drop one of them, ain't you? Do you know what I mean? And but we are good at putting our hands up and say, well, maybe me better than you, right enough, but I'm definitely, you've got better.
Aye. I wasn't wrong, it was somebody else.
but there's always a solution there somewhere.
There's
isn't there?
always a
I
solution.
have a couple of questions then, right, for both these. So this is a big evolving industry, and it's a big industry, right?
Yep.
Okay. In the next 5 years, what do you think the biggest challenges are going to be for your business to thrive and grow? That could be government, it could be recruitment, it could be technology, it could be lead gen. It could, just what do you think is facing you just now to say,
I think that the
it
imminent
could be a problem
that we're going to have, and I think a lot of installers, I know you guys deal with a lot of installers that only do private work. I think the imminent problem we're going to have is a lot of these eco companies now coming into the private market. And I see that, I don't see it as a problem, I see it as a bit of a challenge, to be fair, because I've seen some eco installs, and I'm not decrying people, because I don't think anybody gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to go to my work and make an arse of it. I don't think anybody does it. but I do think people don't care as much as you care about things, and I see that as a coming problem. Whether it will materialise, I don't know, but that's a kind of front door run right now for us.
I think just to elaborate on that, I think for us to protect our brand is key just now. I think that'll be the biggest challenge. You've got all these guys coming into our industry, but again, if you take over, and you could use it whether it be Tetley tea bags, Heinz, whatever it is, right? The big brands always sustain themselves, right? They always keep a level of professionalism. They don't drop their product, they don't drop their cycles, they don't drop the way that they conduct each customer, right? I think one of the biggest problems for us, because we can be reactive at times as well, is reacting to a market that's a race to the bottom. We need to pull ourselves away from that and just back ourselves, back our brand, and be who we are. We've sat and talked about it today.
Exactly
we would be degrading ourselves if we go to that, but definitely I think that's going to be the biggest us reacting to it, and us just staying where we are, because we know we're good at what we do.
Protecting your brand, protecting your patch, protecting your certification.
Definitely.
That puts you in good stead for a healthy business going
just
forward.
Just being who you are, John, because we've built our name on us.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? We built our name on people trusting us. And that's what we always try and get across to the customer. I don't want to upset anybody again, but we've got a lot of stuff now where it's folk will come into us and then we'll quote them, and then you'll get a wee bit of feedback, because we always try and get a bit of feedback even if you don't get the job. And it's, there's a company for Kent that can come up and do this for $3,000 cheaper. And I actually spoke to a guy about it last week, and I says to him, I says, fair enough. I said, if the boys can do it, I said, I don't know how they can do it. I said, but see when your AC isolator fails and it's a 40 quid part, is that guy got to drive 7 hours to change a £50 part? And he says, well, he'll need to. And I says, well, you'll find out. Do you know what I mean? Good luck. Do you know what I mean? That's my kind of...
There's always a positioning piece, isn't there? But one of the things you said, biggest worry is about reacting to it. Now, what I would say is you already have, because you're doing video advertising, you've got a really good website, you've invested all the reps in that, you're moving away from race to bottom, it's all about value. So
we had a conversation about deal value, and you'll see on our CRM that it's changing. You can see that yourself.
I can, and that's how it might feel like everybody's doing videos as solo installers, right? But you're still in the minority. Right, and it's not easy. You know, you have came here today and got in video as well, so you're doing something else.
Forget your own video, actually.
So there will be...
I'm starting you get ADHD.
Well, you know he's ADHD.
That's my buzzword this week, boys, sorry.
So you've made strides on it. On the ADHD thing, right?
Yes.
So I've got a close friend of mine recently diagnosed with ADHD as well, right? So was that something that's always been in your mind? Is that something that you've recently done? How did the diagnosis come about?
So I'll just be brutal. I don't want to say mentally crashed, because there's people out there that are a lot worse off than me. I kind of dipped, see, after Christmas, and I don't know if it was a high of Christmas and then bang, into reality, back to work. We were a wee bit quiet, now we're busy, so you've got that worry there. And I started to question a lot of things about my life, and a lot of how I react in situations, how I maybe conduct myself in certain situations, why I'm emotional, why do I feel like this. I wake up during the night repeating phrases in my head, or song lyrics constantly over and over and over in my head, and my brain couldn't switch off. So I done a bit of your old Google your mate, do you know what I mean? Google.
ChatGPT.
You've got fucking 32 minutes to live. Like, do you know what I mean? So it flagged up a couple of things, and it had said like autism, the autism spectrum, or ADHD, blah, blah, blah. So I spoke to my wife about it. My daughter, my middle daughter Millie, has got a lot of the traits that I show as well.
Right.
So it was always in my mind that I would love to be able to help her.
Right.
So my wife said, you know what, you're going to need to phone the doctor, because I'm going to be actual brutally honest here. You're going to need to phone the doctor because you're not quite yourself. You're really kind of thingy. So I took Millie to school one day, and she had a wee bit of a meltdown going into school. And I got her into school, and I came back in the van, and I just went boof and burst out greeting. And I thought, there's something, I need to figure this out. So I'd phoned the doctor. This is, again, I'm not digging the NHS. Phoned the doctor, you're in the middle of an exponential crisis in my head. I need help, blah, blah, blah. Fantastic, you've took the first step. What's the next step? The doctor will phone you in 2 weeks. And I'm like, what? Do you know what I mean? So that was the kind of thing. So that led to the kind of speaking to the doctor, and he's told me that this is what I've got. I now need to go for the professional diagnosis with the psychiatrist, but he said to me, that's it. Do you know what I mean? You've got it, they prescribe me whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. And in my head, when speaking to the doctor and he's saying to me, when's the first, how did you go on at school? Telling him all this stuff. What was your jobs? A bit like what we spoke about, and you can see the wide variation of everything that I've done. Right, okay, all this stuff. And then he said, what's your first kind of memory, a feeling? They don't like to use the word different. I always use the word, and the doctor said everybody's different. What is your first memory of a kind of meltdown? And I remember being in primary 3 in the West Primary, across for years. Kevin is in our school.
It was actually a college
it was across the road. My school was the sunshine, Kevin, a big black cloud there. And I remember being in primary 3, and I remember going into school and like having a pure meltdown and hanging on to the railings. And my mum's trying to pull me to get me in school, and the teacher's shouting the ball at me, and it just wouldn't matter. I would not let go of these fucking railings. And that's my earliest memory of, that's not a normal reaction. Now I get being so emotional, but I literally fucking clung on to these railings for my life, and I was there for an hour. Do you know what I mean? Screaming and bawling. And that, so as far back as that, and maybe relationships with peers, I didn't react well with teachers. I wasn't a bad boy, but when things get a wee bit too much for me, I would fucking play up in the class. So you're the funny guy. Do you know what I mean? You're the funny guy. Takes the attention away from it. Takes this away from it. So all that stuff kind of made sense. I then go through your kind of adult years, and I wasn't alcoholic, but we used to go out and you'd have a good time and fucking get steaming, and do you know what I mean? And I blamed a lot of it in the drink, because I blamed a lot of it in hangover, and I blamed a lot of it in being grumpy because I was this, and didn't want to deal with problems because I was rough and fucking So I chucked the drink 2.5 years ago, and it never got better. And I thought, there's something here. Do you know what I mean? There's something here that I need to know, understand myself, what's going on. And that's, spoke to the doctor for 45 minutes. He said to me, listen, this is what you've got. This is it. You've shown every single sign of this. And he'd asked me if you looked it up, and I said, aye. And an interesting fact, you know, I've told you this, do you know what they treat ADHD with? Amphetamines. Did you know that, John?
I didn't know that.
So, and it seemingly it levels your brain. For people who are all the time. A low dose of amphetamine levels your brain up. So we'll find out.
Aye, we'll see. We'll see.
No shop in here.
One or 2 ways of that. And how does, what was your initial feeling of being told that you had that? Because it is, you know, it's something that has been, you know, talked about a lot, especially in business. It seems to be quite a common thing with people in business. But
I got off the phone to the doctor, and I felt great. I felt like I'd probably made a big stride. And I'm going to do a wee bit of plugging here, because I know a lot of people jump on the mental health thing, but see, when I spoke to somebody, I did feel better about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Years ago, I know I'm off on a tangent, years ago I witnessed a guy get murdered, and I went to counselling on the back of it, and in my head I thought, I'm going to get 6 weeks off my work here. Do you know what I mean? I went to counselling, and it turns out when you just sit and talking to somebody for an hour, gets half your chest.
Yeah.
And see, when you get it out there and it's half your chest, you feel a wee bit better, because nobody judges you. Nobody's nobody judges you. Do you know what I mean? People, you think, I'm going to tell somebody I'm struggling, and they're going to write on Facebook, that fucking idiots. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And it's not like that. Generally, I find people have got genuine concern, and they want to help. And I felt, after speaking to the doctor, 45 minutes, he told me a couple of things that I probably didn't realise about myself. One of the things that you'll understand after this, is not letting people finish sentences. So see if somebody's talking and I'll jump in and say something. That's a trait for it. Right. And that's, I would do it to the doctor. Do you know what I mean? And he's going, right, fucking I know.
That's interesting you say that, right? So I was saying about my pal that's been recently diagnosed. One of the main reasons that he wanted to get diagnosed, or wanted to figure out if he had it first and foremost, was because he felt really, really bad about speaking over the top of people. And he couldn't quite believe that, like, he said, that's not my personality. Like,
I don't feel bad about it.
I don't get that. But that was one of a number of reasons why he wanted to find it. Because he wanted to find out, is it the way I'm wired, or am I just being a prick?
That was me, Barry. That was me, and I resonate with him, because I started to question whether I was different for other people or whether I was just a prick. And that was one of the things that was in my head, and I had to know whether, because see, if you're a prick, you can kind of work on it and go, right, I'm a dick, I need to start being better with people, but people don't understand. shit goes in my head, comes out my gut, boof, boof, and it's like that, and then you're trying to shoot the words back in, you know what I mean? And it's out there, because Kevin, we'll go and meet some people sometimes, and Kevin will be like, you're fucking brutal, and I'm like, I'm not brutal, I'm just in my head. See if I tell you how I feel, you don't get away from here saying, I wonder what he thinks about that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, if you say to me, what colour are the curtains? I'll say they're fucking black. Do you know what I mean?
Michael's not allowed to deal with our complaints procedure.
This is really yin and yang come in.
In other aspects of business, right?
Yeah.
What you've described there is quite a strong strength as well, right?
Yeah.
You can say it as it is. You can get things done. You're probably quite structured in the way that you conduct your business life and relationships within business to get things done. So
I just don't like grey areas, and that's.
Listen, it's definitely been an asset to our business. Do you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily the best at confrontation, unless when I say confrontation, that's a lie.
Tough conversations.
Tough conversations is maybe not always where my strength lies. Mine is relationship building.
Yeah,
and definitely. Obviously, your attributes to that has definitely helped, and there's a lot of instances we've been sitting with other companies, not so much customers and that, they're easy to deal with. I deal with them because I can't let you deal with them sometimes. Do you know
You're
what I mean?
talking about a guy I think you're talking about, he's a dick.
Aye,
I'm not going to say who he is, but and he get told he was a dick that day in the office as well.
We can.
So you'll know who you are.
We can scut round about it, right? And I'll scut round about it and go, right, let's get a solution to this. Let's get a solution to this. And then Michael come and go, nah, we're fucking doing this, right? Right?
But it's not even bullish. It's just like
it's fact.
but you are just leaning into your strengths again, and that's why everything works.
A conversation I have with quite a lot of people a lot of the time, and it maybe comes back to that kind of attribute, is I'll say to folk, this is how I need it done. See if you can't do it like that, that's fine. You can't do it like that, that's fine. We're not going to fall out. But I'll go and find somebody who can do it like that, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? And it's not being like, fuck you, and I'll do this and I'll do that. It's just basically, if that doesn't fit you, that's fine. If you came to me with something that didn't fit me, I would say, no.
But
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then everybody knows where they stand, instead of somebody maybe getting 3/4 of the way down the road with a job, and then saying, oh, but it was like this, and then somebody else say, no, it wasn't, it was like that. And then, if you're black and white for the start,
100%, but that kind of adds to what you were saying there. A natural conversation isn't like that, but because of obviously the condition that you've got, it actually is a big attribute in business, because you get through the bullshit and you're right to the end, because the natural conversation for two people to have is to skirt round about it and then come somewhere in the middle. Do you know what I mean?
Nobody's happy.
And then nobody's happy, and nobody's 100%
I'll give you an
happy.
insight how my brain works with that, right? I'll sit and I'll sit and I'll sit and I'll listen, and then I just go, fuck this, and that is just like a switch, and it just goes, right, enough. This is either this way or this way.
Aye.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? And then that's where Kevin's like, oh fuck, here we go.
No, but listen, 99.9% of the times it's been an attribute to the conversation that we've had. It's never been a negative, right? I say, if we had that approach with customers all the time, it maybe be a wee bit different. But within a business organisation, then that's definitely very healthy. Do you know what I mean?
You need to make a call, don't you? But look, thanks for getting into that, because you're all fair play to you. There might be somebody listening to that that's similar in what they're doing, and
do you know what as well, touching on that, Barry, the door's always open. Well, see if somebody is kicking this after self and they might even get a blather and see a bit of advice.
100%.
He wants a phone.
We'll
We're not hard to get hold of, do you know what I mean? And networking, it helps everybody.
definitely. So anybody listening,
definitely, we're always there to help.
Apart from that guy I called a dick in the office.
He knows
you're
who
not
he is.
welcome.
maybe not him.
You're not welcome.
You're still a dick.
So
probably just to finish off yours, maybe a wee tip of the hat for the big fella.
Aye, so we're about to wrap it up, because that's been a very fast 90 minutes. So
Has that been that long?
It's been.
You've mentioned a couple of times through the story about the big fella, right? So this is probably a good way to wrap up the episode. Explain to us who you're talking about there and how they've helped you.
So, do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
I'll do it. So, we're talking about Big Davy McNeil, right? He was a kind of owner, co-founder or founder of Energy Pig, and Big Davy's gave us a lot of good advice at the start. And actually, we wouldn't have a business if it wasn't for Davy's, trusting us at the very, very start, and he kind of led us along the way, helped our hand, you know, we did a lot of work for him as well, by the way,
Yep.
so we done all his lead generation. But to be fair, if it wasn't for Davey, we wouldn't have been able to have as successful a business as we have, and we'll always be thankful for that, no matter what, no matter. The door will always be open for us and Davey to help in any way, shape, form that we can. And do you know what? He's a good guy. He is a really, really good guy. And like I say, if it wasn't for him showing us the ropes, let's just say.
Well, he was in our position where we are now, where we were starting up and Davey helped us. So now we're established and we've offered a hand out to help anybody that's kind of needing a bit of advice.
That's exactly it. I think you have to, you put out there what you want. You put into a relationship, you only get out of a relationship, what you put into it. Do you know what I mean? And we've been helped. We've done it. We've read the book. We've made the mistakes. Now, anybody else wants a hand, then we'll help them.
That's really fair, actually. You know, we are, you know, spoke about it earlier, you know, it's an industry, you know, it's a big industry, but, you know, what I've seen is collaboration and people actually helping each other out, even though they're competitors. It just works because we're all in it for the same thing, right?
Yep.
Mostly.
Yep.
All the good people and the good companies who are ethical and culturally that way inclined, we help each other. That's what it's all about. So when you reaching out your hand, that's great.
Aye, and I think that's, you know, being thankful for advice and, you know, fair play to Big Davey, and I'm sure you can help him. I think that's a perfect way to wrap things up. And thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
As always, a great laugh. And
Did I tell you I've got a date today?
I'll add in the
I went to the credits.
So thanks very much, everyone. And if you haven't done so yet, please make sure you like and subscribe to all our podcast channels. Thanks now. Cheers.
Thank you.